Ukraine, Canada, NATO allies, Japan, India, and many other nations have stood beside America for decades as trusted friends and strategic partners. But today, many critics believe President Donald Trump has shaken those alliances almost overnight. And now, another name is being added to that list, Taiwan.
You look at the history of Taiwan. Taiwan was developed because we had presidents that didn't know what the hell they were doing. They stole our chip industry. China's a very, very powerful, big country. That's a very small island.
For decades, Taiwan has survived under the shadow of China largely because of American support. Without U.S. backing, many analysts believe Taiwan could have been absorbed by China long ago. But now, according to critics, Taiwan's position has changed dramatically. Instead of being treated like a close democratic partner, Taiwan increasingly appears to be a bargaining chip in a much larger geopolitical game, one that America may sacrifice if it serves its own interests.
I'm holding that in abeyance, and it depends on China. It depends. It's a very good negotiating chip for us, frankly. It's a lot of weapons. It's $12 billion. It's a lot of weapons.
For decades, America's policy toward Taiwan was built on consistency. Washington maintained strong ties with Taiwan regardless of how China reacted. The United States repeatedly assured Taiwan that its relationship would not be negotiated behind closed doors with Beijing. But now, even on the question of Taiwan's security, Trump appears to be stepping back. While returning from China, Trump was directly asked whether the United States would defend Taiwan if China attempted to seize it by force. Listen to his response.
Defend Taiwan if it came to it?
I don't want to say. I'm not going to say that. There's only one person that knows that. You know who it is? Me. I'm the only person.
Traditionally, American presidents have avoided giving a clear military guarantee to Taiwan. But none of American presidents have given threat to Taiwan. But Trump does that too.
Have somebody say, let's go independent because the United States is backing us. That's a very small island. It's, you think of it, it's 59 miles away. 59 miles. We're 9,500 miles away. That's a little bit of a different.
Sensing the shift, Taiwan's government released an unusually strong statement. The message was clear: do not use Taiwan as part of a deal with China. Taiwan essentially reminded Washington that it already functions as an independent nation with its own government, military, economy, and democratic system. So what exactly happened in Beijing? Why does it suddenly seem like Trump and Xi Jinping are discussing Taiwan not as a democratic ally, but as a negotiating asset? And why would America freeze or delay critical weapons deals at a time when tensions with China continue to rise? Last week, Trump traveled to China for a high-profile two-day summit that quickly captured global attention. He arrived alongside some of America's most powerful billionaires and CEOs, hoping to secure massive economic agreements. Behind closed doors, Trump and Xi Jinping reportedly held hours of discussions focused on trade, technology, security, and global conflicts. But what emerged afterward were two very different stories: Trump's version and reality. Listening to Trump's statements after the summit, it sounded as though China had completely embraced his leadership.
It's been an incredible visit. A lot of good has come of it. We made some fantastic trade deals, great for both countries.
The White House claimed China agreed to major economic deals, including the purchase of 750 Boeing aircraft and large soybean imports from American farmers. Trump also suggested progress had been made regarding Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil shipping routes. After making these dramatic announcements, Trump boarded Air Force One and returned home, declaring the summit a major success. But then China began quietly undermining many of those claims. Chinese officials later stated that the Boeing agreement was not finalized. On Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, China's official summary of the talks didn't even mention the issue. In fact, reports later suggested China had actually strengthened its recognition of Iran's control and sovereignty in the region. And despite improved relations, China still refused to rely heavily on advanced American AI technology, including NVIDIA's newest chips. That sends an important message. China may cooperate with America when convenient, but it still wants technological independence. So despite Trump's praise of Xi Jinping, many analysts believe China left the summit largely unimpressed. This entire situation becomes even more significant when viewed through history. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan gave Taiwan what became known as the Six Assurances. One of those assurances promised that America would never consult China regarding arms sales to Taiwan. Critics now argue that Trump has weakened those assurances and introduced uncertainty into decades of U.S. policy. When reporter asked him, "Why did you win against years of commitment?" look how he answered.
What am I going to do? Say I don't want to talk to you about it? Because I have an agreement that was signed in 1982? No, we discussed arms sales to...
Taiwan clearly understands the danger. Its president recently reminded the world that Taiwan will not be traded away in diplomatic negotiations. Taiwan emphasized that long-term American arms support is not only about defending Taiwan itself, it also acts as a deterrent against Chinese military expansion in the Pacific. To understand why Taiwan matters so much, we need to step back into history. The conflict between China and Taiwan did not begin yesterday. It dates back to the Chinese Civil War, which began in 1927. At that time, China was deeply unstable as European colonial powers weakened after World War I. Two major forces emerged inside China. On one side was Mao Zedong's Communist Party of China, the CCP. On the other side was Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist government, known as the Kuomintang. After more than 2 decades of brutal civil war, Mao's communist forces emerged victorious in 1949. The CCP took control of mainland China and established what we now know as the People's Republic of China. Meanwhile, Chiang Kai-shek and millions of supporters fled to the island of Taiwan, carrying with them their government, military, wealth, and constitution. And ever since then, the world has effectively had 2 Chinas: mainland China, the People's Republic of China, and Taiwan, officially called the Republic of China. Today, Taiwan is a democratic island of 23 million people with its own military, elections, constitution, and a nearly $1 trillion economy. Despite this success, only a small number of countries officially recognize Taiwan diplomatically. Why? Because China enforces its powerful One China policy. Beijing makes it clear, any nation that officially recognizes Taiwan risks losing economic and diplomatic relations with China. As China's economy exploded over the past 2 decades, more and more countries chose access to China's markets over formal recognition of Taiwan. In 2000, around 30 countries officially recognized Taiwan. Today, that number has fallen dramatically. This shows the enormous influence of China's economic power.
And for Xi Jinping, Taiwan is not just another foreign policy issue, it is personal. Xi has repeatedly declared that reunification with Taiwan must happen within this generation. For China's Communist Party, Taiwan represents unfinished history dating back to 1949. Although Beijing publicly promotes peaceful reunification, Xi Jinping has never ruled out military force. Some of Trump's own advisors have warned that China could attempt to seize Taiwan within the next 5 years. And Taiwan knows exactly what that could mean. That is why Taiwan has spent years preparing for possible conflict. Its military strategy focuses heavily on asymmetrical warfare, using decentralized defenses, guerrilla tactics, drones, mobile systems to resist a much larger Chinese military. We have already seen similar strategies used in Ukraine and other modern conflicts. Taiwan's message today is simple. It does not seek war. It does not want escalation. But it will not surrender its sovereignty, democracy, or freedom under pressure. Now, the entire world is watching closely. Not just Taiwan's 23 million citizens, but every American ally across Europe and Asia. Because many are beginning to ask a difficult question. If America can reconsider its commitment to Taiwan today, who could be next tomorrow? That leaves one question unanswered. Is America defending democracy or negotiating it away? That's all for today. If you find this helpful, do subscribe USA Briefing.